Welcome on the mic. This is your host, Micah Cannon, from On the Mic Live, of course. Today, I will be ranking the NFL teams based on different tiers. S tier, obviously, is the best tier. F tier is teams with contention for the number one pick. So let's just say F tier, that's like 1 to 4 wins. S tier is like Super Bowl contenders. So getting the S tier done first, we're just going to start off easy. The Saints, every year since about maybe 2016, 2017, they've been Super Bowl contenders. They have one of the best running backs in the league in Alvin Kamara, easily a top three receiver in Michael Thomas, and Drew Brees, who's still, in my opinion, a top five quarterback. Yeah, the Saints are definitely Super Bowl contenders. The Ravens, they're Super Bowl contenders with Lamar Jackson in the season he just had, and then the addition of players such as Calais Campbell and also Hollywood Brown gaining weight over the summer. I believe he went out this season at 157. Now reports are stating that he's 180. So with those additions and with players just simply getting better, and the fact that the Ravens are a fairly younger team in terms of their best positions, like for example Lamar Jackson, what is he, 22, 23, 24? He's a young dude. So I believe that the Ravens are a Super Bowl contention and will be a Super Bowl contender for a long time. Kansas City, I think they're going to repeat. Kansas City is they'll just continue to be good following the signing of the biggest contract in sports history with Patrick Mahomes. I believe the Chiefs are Super Bowl contenders. The 49ers, they took a bit of a step down. They took a step down. So I don't know if I'm going to put them in Super Bowl contention. I'm going to have to decide about that. I don't really know about the 49ers because they did lose. I believe they lost DeForest Buckner. They lost one of their main linemen. This might surprise a lot of people, maybe a couple people, but I also believe Green Bay. I think they're Super Bowl contenders. Great defense. They have Aaron Rodgers, who is one of the best game managers ever. They also have what's that wide receiver's name again? Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, easily a top five receiver in the league, in my opinion. I believe that Green Bay is a Super Bowl contending team, and I believe that with a good season, maybe a little bit of luck, and combined with, well, they are in a pretty strong division, but not as strong as divisions such as the NFC South or the NFC East this year. I believe that Green Bay definitely is a Super Bowl contender. Now, from here on out, I just wanted to get my Super Bowl contenders out of the way. From here on out, I'm just going to be going in order. By in order, I mean from here. So, ironically, the Falcons, my favorite team, are first in the order. They got Todd Gurley this season, Julio Jones. You have Matt Ryan. You have the little squad. Then they upgraded their defense pretty well too. I feel they got Dante Fowler, who is coming off of a 11 sack season, I believe, and they also have players such as Keanu Neal coming back from injury. They have Ricardo Allen coming back. He had a good season last year. I say the Falcons, they're going to be – I said they're going to get about 10 wins, 11 wins. I'd put them in B tier for right now, though, because it's just a lot of what ifs. Like Todd Gurley has been injured. He's been injured in the past in his career. I don't really know how that's going to fare out for them. But as of right now, I put the Falcons at B tier. I believe that they're going to get 10 to 11 wins. The Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, the addition of Teddy Bridgewater. Personally, I don't like a backup quarterback going into a situation where he has to automatically start, especially when it goes into going to a different team with a different system where you don't have one of the best quarterbacks of all time and Drew Brees to teach you. So I'm going to put the Panthers in C tier. They do have a lot of talent, but I need to see how Teddy Bridgewater is going to fare out after his pretty strong season with the Saints. So that's the only reason I have them in C tier. I have them at the least going 7-9. At the most, I see them going 10-6. The Panthers are just one of those teams that fluctuates, and I think their success is going to be really dependent on the performance of Teddy Bridgewater throughout these first couple weeks. Then you have the Bears. The Bears, they added Nick Foles, who's coming off of a season where he was injured. So that's a what if situation. Is he going to be injured this season? Will he be the same player this season? But he does have a number one caliber receiver in Allen Robinson, he received for 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, something like that. Really good receiver, top 10 receiver in the league. Chicago always has a great defense. I'd put Chicago in C tier though, because again, uncertain at the quarterback position, aka the most important position on the field. I have no idea if Nick Foles is going to be the same Nick Foles he was in that he's ever going to be the same Nick Foles he was in that championship run with Philadelphia. But I can guarantee Nick Foles, he's still going to be a decent, solid quarterback. And the Bears defense, I believe the Bears defense alone can win them 5, 6, 7 games. The offense doesn't really have to do that much. So yeah, I'd give the Bears, I'd say 9 to 10 wins at max. At minimum, they'll go 6-10. Their defense is just too good to deny. I think their defense is going to really play a big role in terms of their performance in their wins. And I think that defense is going to be it's going to be the pivotal reason that they make the playoffs. The Bengals, oh man, this year I don't think this year's the Bengals' year to be great. I like the addition of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow out of LSU, who threw 60 touchdowns last season in college, which was a college football record, in case you didn't know. But if you saw a video that surfaced, I believe earlier this week, it showed Joe Burrow running in the pocket because of his offensive line couldn't block. And a bad offensive line and a rookie quarterback is never a good mix. And AJ Green, he's good, but he's never quite healthy. So I'm still worried about AJ Green. Bengals 6-10. I think they'll be a pretty decent team. I believe Joe Burrow will have a solid year back there, but he is going to have his little mistakes, his moments as a rookie quarterback. I think his second year will really be the year you guys have to look at the Bengals in terms of being a great offense. I see a lot of Carson Palmer and Joe Burrow, but only time will tell. I don't think this year's the year that the Bengals are going to turn it around and be all of a sudden a good franchise. Coming off of 1-15, though, I say 6-10 is a solid start to what I think is going to be a great rebuild in the city of Cincinnati. The Browns, the thing is, we expected the Browns this year to be a playoff team, but with the regression of Baker Mayfield and also the seemingly instant production from Nick Chubb and the suspension of Myles Garrett, I feel like that ruined their odds this season. And I don't know if Odell Beckham is the best guy in terms of the locker room. And I just don't know if he's a good mix on that team, because you have a lot of A-type personalities on that team. Baker Mayfield, you have Odell Beckham, just a lot of people who sort of can be locker room problems if they get too much into their own heads. But I think the Browns are going to have a pretty solid season. I like their defense. I like their offense. Well-balanced team. I'm going to put them in the B tier with the Falcons. I believe the Browns will get 10 wins this year, if not more. Cowboys just paid Dak Prescott. I know that Gerald McCoy he did get injured. They say he might have tore his ACL. I haven't gotten any reports on it yet, but if you know that, feel free to leave it in the comments. The Dallas Cowboys, even with the injury to Gerald McCoy, I believe still have a top five defensive line in the league with I believe they have Dontari Poe. I believe they have, of course, they have DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't remember the other end that signed, but I know that they did have Randy Gregory. I don't know if he's going to be reinstated. I haven't gotten any facts on that either. But the Cowboys, I believe their defensive line is going to be good. They have Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith at linebackers, which I believe is a top 5 linebacking core in the league. The Dallas Cowboys also have a great offense, obviously, with of course, Michael Gallup. You have Dak Prescott, you have Ezekiel Elliott, and you have Amari Cooper, who was a Pro Bowler last year. I believe that the Cowboys are an A-tier type team. I like their defense. I like their offense. Really balanced team. They have everything needed to make the playoffs and everything needed to really go to the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't put them in Super Bowl contention quite yet. That's why they're an A-tier. I expect 12 wins from the Cowboys. The Broncos are in a tough situation, but they do have They do have that rookie quarterback, Drew Lock, who I believe is going to have a pretty good year this season. I don't know if it'll be a breakout year, but I know it'll be a pretty good year. They have Cortland Sutton, who has proven to be one of the best young receivers in the NFL. They have Noah Fant, who I think is one of the better younger tight ends in the NFL. But again, the Broncos are in the Bengals situation. Young quarterback, not really the best offensive line. They do have what's that dude's name again? I don't know. They're running back Philip Lindsay. That's his name. Philip Lindsay. He's a pretty good running back. I believe the Broncos are going to be okay this year. I don't think it's playoffs for the Broncos, to be perfectly honest with you. I say the Broncos get I say 6, 7, 8 wins. 8 wins at the most. I don't see the Broncos having a great season. I see them having a solid season that they could build on. Next is the Houston Texans with the loss of DeAndre Hopkins, who had been their number one receiver for the past about maybe 5 years, and taking that into consideration that they have a terrible offensive line. Laramie Tunsil's really the only guy I know about on that offensive line, and he's not quite a top-tier lineman yet. Well, he's a top-tier lineman, but he's not one of the best in the NFL. He's just a decent, very good lineman, if that's what you want to hear. He's a really good lineman. But Houston as a whole, their offensive line is bad. Their coaching situation is ridiculous. I think Bill O'Brien has way too much control with that organization. I don't like Deshaun Watson being there without a number one receiver, and I don't like the fact that they traded a number one receiver, a top 3 receiver in the league, in my opinion, maybe top 5, for David Johnson, who I don't know if he's washed yet, but he's proven to be pretty injury prone. Didn't have anywhere near the season that D-Hop had last season. I believe that Houston got absolutely robbed in a trade. So I put Houston just because they have Dak Prescott. I'm going to put him in B tier. I think Dak Prescott is more than capable of dragging Houston to 9 to 10 to 11 wins. But I don't see Houston having a ton of success in the playoffs. I see a first round or second round exit for Houston, but I still think they should be in playoff contention just because of the talent of Deshaun Watson. New York Giants, you can't really identify any number one receivers. They have Saquon, who was injured last season. Then they have Daniel Jones, who I think is going to be a pretty decent quarterback. I see 24-12 for him this season. They have a pretty good core, but the New York Giants, they're struggling because I don't remember them signing a number one receiver. I don't remember them having a great defense either. So the New York Giants, they're going to be our first. Actually, no, I'm going to put them in D tier. Second year quarterback. I feel like he's going to have a breakout season. Daniel Jones showed flashes last season. Combine him with Saquon Barkley, who very well can have 2,000 scrimmage yards, and then combine that with Darius Slayton, who is blossoming into a pretty good receiver. I don't know if he's a number one receiver, but I know he's a pretty good receiver. I say New York Giants have 6 to 7 wins this year. I don't see playoffs for the New York Giants either, in my opinion. The Vikings have one of the most accurate quarterbacks statistically at their head, which is Kirk Cousins. They did lose what's his name again? They did lose Stephon Diggs. They still have Adam Thielen, who has proven himself as a number one receiver, a number one caliber receiver, and possibly a top 5 receiver at times. This year, he was hurt a little bit. Dalvin Cook, easily one of the best running backs in the league last year. Rushed for, I believe, 1,300 yards, had a lot of yards from scrimmage. He is more than a capable catcher out of the backfield. And Minnesota has a really good defense. Oh, I forgot. Dallas also signed Everson Griffin, who 2 years ago was a sack master. I believe he had 10, 12 sacks a couple of years ago. I don't know, but that was a good signing for Dallas. But getting back on the topic, they did lose Everson Griffin. The Vikings did lose Everson Griffin, but they still have Danielle Hunter, who I believe is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. just because of the sheer talent they have combined with their great coach, I put them in B tier. I expect 10 wins from them easily. Well, not easily, but I expect 10 wins from them. They did lose a lot in free agency, but I still think that they could be a pretty good top tier team. If they would have kept Everson Griffin and they would have kept their I believe they lost one of their cornerbacks too. If they would have kept Everson Griffin, their cornerback. I think they lost a cornerback and Stephon Diggs. They definitely be an A-tier team, but because they lost so much in free agency in the offseason, I'm going to mark them as a B-tier team. The Detroit Lions, they have Kenny Golladay, who I believe is the second best deep ball receiver in the NFL behind Julio Jones. Uh, I don't know. Matthew Stafford has one of the worst lines, the worst offensive lines. The Lions are always, well, Matthew Stafford is always injury ridden because of the amount of times he has to get sacked or the amount of times he just has to take hits in a game. Ever since they've had Calvin Johnson, they haven't had a great number one receiver. I feel like Kenny Golladay can blossom into a great number one receiver, but not the level that Calvin Johnson was, of course. But I think he can blossom into a great receiver. And I don't know about the running back situation over there. I know they have Kerryon Johnson, who's really good running back. Did he rush for 1,000 yards? I don't really know. I forgot about Kerryon Johnson's production, but either way, the Lions, they're not a great team at all. Always injury ridden. Matthew Stafford definitely is a top quarterback in the league when healthy, but I don't know about the Lions. Their defense isn't super impressive. Their offense isn't super impressive. Lions are going to be our E tier team. I say the Lions 4 or 5, maybe 6 wins, maybe 7, but I don't see playoffs for the Lions, and they have less overall talent, in my opinion, than these three teams in the D tier do. San Francisco 49ers, because they lost their linemen, they do have now the highest paid tight end in NFL history in George Kittle, and who I think is the best tight end in the NFL right now. Um, they have Jimmy Garoppolo, who is one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league. He has one of the best offensive lines. San Francisco also has one of the best defenses, even though they did lose a D lineman, even though they don't have Emmanuel Sanders anymore, who was their best receiver last year. I still think San Francisco can be an A-tier team, and I honestly still think that they can give you 12 to 13 games in the season easily. The Cardinals, with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, is definitely going to help. I feel like Kyler Murray is going to have a breakout year this season. I don't know about the running back situation. Maybe I forgot about something, but since David Johnson has been gone, I don't think they've had a good running back, or not gone, but I'm going to say injured, because he did get injured in that season where he almost put up 1,000 and 1,000, which would have been super impressive. It was a super great season. I think he should have been in contention for possible MVP that season. But that's a conversation for another day. The Cardinals, they have a tough running back situation. Their wide receivers are really good. They have one of the best pass rushers in the league in Chandler Jones on the other side of the ball. They have one of the better free safeties in the league in Buda Baker. I think that they are a B tier team. I feel like the Cardinals will get back to their winning ways like they were in 2015, 2014, 2016, those years, and give you 10 wins. I think that Kyler Murray will have a great season. I believe that the addition of a top three receiver in the NFL and DeAndre Hopkins will help him. And I believe that the Cardinals could easily give you 10 wins and make the playoffs. The Dolphins, they definitely took a risk in drafting Tua Tagovailoa, who was pretty injury prone in his last season, but decided to pursue the draft. But Devontae Parker, I don't really know how good he's going to be this year. He seems a bit streaky per se. He seems a bit like, is he a number one receiver? A number two. If he was the number two receiver, I'd be totally with it. I think that they'd be a great team. But I don't know. I don't know. Oh, by the way, on my screen right here, Pascal Siakam just went down, so Raptors fans, that might be bad for you. But I mean, he's getting up, so he's pretty good. But anyway, getting back to the topic, Miami Dolphins, they're in contention for the number one overall pick. They're an F tier, not a great team. No number one receiver in my book. I don't think Devontae Parker is a number one receiver at all. The running back situation is tough over there. No good offensive line, no good defensive line, no good linebackers. They only have Rashad Jones, who I think left. I think he left, and they did get Byron Jones, and I think they have Xavier Howard too. So their secondary is kind of solid, but I just don't know about it. I don't think that the Dolphins are going to be a great team this season. That's just me. I say the Dolphins, they'd be lucky to get 5 wins. I'd see 3, 4 wins, maybe even 2. But the addition of Tua Tagovailoa isn't going to be all of a sudden. It's not going to be the Dolphins are all of a sudden good. So I think the Dolphins are going to be an F tier team this season. I don't see them being too good. The Bills, short analysis for the Bills. Great quarterback with a great receiver now, a number one receiver in Stephon Diggs. They have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. Buffalo Bills, same as last season. B tier, 10 wins. 10 wins for the Buffalo Bills. Their defense can easily get them 7 or 8 wins. And I believe that Josh Allen is one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league. So Josh Allen can definitely get you some pretty good. He can get you some pretty good production. I don't think he's the most accurate quarterback. He's not the best passing quarterback, but he can still get the job done for the Bills. He's the perfect fit for the Buffalo Bills as far as their team is built right now. The Indianapolis Colts, the Colts are a tough team because they did just get Phillip Rivers, but I don't think the addition of Phillip Rivers is going to end up impacting them like they wanted to. I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to automatically go there and average 3-4 touchdowns a game. They did get DeForest Buckner, which is a good plus for their defense. They actually have a pretty good defense because they also have Justin Houston, who I believe had 11 sacks last season. So I think the Colts are a C tier team. I think they'll go like 9-7 because their offensive situation just straight up isn't the best. They have Marlon Mack. They have T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton is aging. Marlon Mack, I feel like he's going to be out of there soon. I don't think Marlon Mack is going to want to be in that situation with an older quarterback and an aging receiver. So that's why I have them in my C tier. Not quite in B tier. I don't think they'll get 10 wins. And I think they'll have to scratch and claw if they want to make the playoffs. I think they could be a playoff team, but it's a bit iffy, just like the Panthers and the Bears. The Raiders, they have their little 2-quarterback situation. They're moving to a different city. Their defense, meh. Their defense isn't. They're all right. They're not the best team. They have Darren Waller, who I believe is going to have another pretty good season. Of course, avoiding injury. I think the Raiders are a D tier team because they do have Derek Carr, who has proven to have some pretty good seasons, and who has proven to be one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league. But I don't really know anything else about their offense. I don't know who they added this year. I know they added what's that man's name? Marcus Mariota. But what is that going to do? Marcus Mariota was a backup quarterback. He lost his job to Ryan Tannehill, who many people thought had no chance of taking the quarterback job. And his team went to the AFC Championship without him. Like, this guy, he hasn't really won either. The team is way better without him than they are with him. And that's why I believe that the 2-quarterback situation just won't work. I don't know about that situation at all. I don't know how they're going to manage the situation. I don't know what Marcus Mariota was going to do. I don't even know the point of signing him, to be perfectly honest with you. I guess it was just being safe, or signing him for special plays, like putting him in at 4th down, letting him run the ball. Either way, the Raiders won't be a great team. At the best, They'll be an average team. They'll be all right. They're 7-9. They're 8-8, but they're good. But they're missing a lot. They're missing a good amount to be what I think is required to be a playoff team. Philadelphia Eagles. Oh man, their quarterback is injury prone. They did get an upgrade at corner though. They got an upgrade with Darius Slay, who is aging, but he's still more than capable of being a good corner in the NFL. I don't remember them having any great wide receivers because everybody, all the memes came out when everyone was like, "Oh, they don't have great wide receivers." Oh, Nelson Aguilar dropped it. Oh, I think they lose a lot of games that they shouldn't lose, like that game to the Falcons. As much as I am a Falcons fan, they shouldn't have lost that game. Their defense, they have a lot of talent. They're one of those teams with a lot of talent and a lot of depth, but for some reason can just never get it done because their quarterback is always hurt. I think Miles Sanders is going to have a great season this year. But, I mean, there's talent on that team. There's hope for that team. But 9-7 last year was pretty disappointing considering that your quarterback threw 27-7. If your quarterback has that great and that efficient of a season, I believe that your team should get at least 10 wins. The Eagles, nothing super special pops out about the Eagles. That's why I'm going to put them in C tier. I believe that their record won't fluctuate much depending on their level of effort. That's what I think is. I think the level of effort and the level of who can make the clutch plays. I think Carson Wentz is going to have to make a lot of clutch plays this year, but this team can fluctuate. They can either go 6-10 or they can either go 11-5. But yeah, it's the same with all these teams. All these teams, they have the ability to be good, but they have that one thing that's uncertain about them. That one thing that you're like, they need that, but do they? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they need something, but I feel like that they can do without it, or they can maybe get it in a trade or free agency. Who knows? But yeah, that's the definition of these teams. And I feel like the Eagles fit that definition. Then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars who, oh man, I don't know. They lost Nick. They took a bet on Nick Foles, which proved to be an awful bet. Nick Foles, he first got injured. I don't know. I like Gardner Minshew though. I like Leonard Fournette, but rumors are saying they're trying to trade him, or yeah, they're trying to trade him for something better. I like DJ Chark. He had 1,000 yards last year, and I like their defensive situation. But for some reason, the Jaguars just never figured it out, and they lost a lot on defense this year. They lost A.J. Boye. Uh, but I still do like their D-line. I still like their linebackers. Miles Jack, in my opinion, is really special. He's definitely a hybrid unicorn when it comes to linebackers, fast enough to be in coverage, but aggressive and strong enough to also support the run. But getting out of that, I feel like the Jaguars are an iffy team. I'll put them at D tier because I feel like they are still missing a lot. They're missing a second wide receiver because I feel like, no, DJ Chark is the second wide receiver. I feel like they're missing a primary first receiver. I think DJ Chark is a great wide receiver. Say DJ Chark and Devontae Parker are almost the same to me. They're decent number one receivers and great number two receivers, but they don't have a number one right next to them, and that's the problem. They had a number one right next to them. Both of these teams that you see, the Dolphins and the Jaguars, they'd be ranked a lot higher on my list. But without a number one wide receiver, it's really hard in today's NFL, especially given the fact that corners are better, bigger, and stronger than ever today. So yeah, that number one receiver is really holding them back, considering that both of them don't have the world's best defenses. But just because the Jaguars, I believe, have a more proven quarterback, because Tua's injured. Tua, he's in his rookie season. He's gonna have his bumps. Their quarterback, Gardner Minshew, has already had their bumps in the road. He's already been through his rookie season. He knows how the team works. He's been around the team for a year. That's why I think the Jaguars have a way better chance of having a successful season than the Dolphins do. Then you have the Los Angeles Chargers. They have one of the best defenses, if not, they probably have a top 5 defense in the NFL. They have Melvin Ingram, Bosa brother. They have Joey Bosa. They have Chris Harris. all those corners. They have a bunch of corners. I believe they still have Desmond King, Casey Hayward. Oh man, they have a lot of cornerbacks. That those three cornerbacks are going to be really dangerous, especially when Desmond King is going to be covering the slot. That's pretty dangerous if you ask me. That's a really good cornerback core right there. They also have a decent amount of pass rush, and I believe that was the team that signed, what's his name again? Linval Joseph. I believe they signed Linval Joseph. They have a great defensive line, great defense in general. Their linebackers do need a little help, but I think that combined with the D line and the secondary, the linebackers will be pretty good, considering that their D line and secondary are, in my opinion, or at least on paper, two of the best in the league. But again, rookie quarterback. And what else do I have to say? Rookie quarterback, he's going to make his mistakes. I don't care how good his wide receivers are. This guy does have a primary receiver, though, in Keenan Allen, who is one of the best possession receivers and route run technicians in the game right now. But again, Joe Burrow's situation is pretty similar. Well, not really similar because the Bengals don't have a good defense. Actually, I'm going to put them in C tier because they have Justin Herbert. The difference is Justin Herbert has a great defense and a primary receiver. I believe that this team could easily get 10 wins with Justin Herbert. I really do. I think they could get 10 wins. I think they could fluctuate, though. They could either get 6 or 7 or 8 wins, or they could either get 10 or 11 wins. It really depends on how things play out this year. The Rams, they lost Todd Gurley. They have Cam Akers. They have Jared Goff, who I believe is definitely one of the better quarterbacks in the league. They have Aaron Donald. They're pretty decent all around, but at the end of the day, they're mediocre. They're just decent everywhere. There's none that really stands out without Todd Gurley in the offense. I know Todd Gurley was injured, and Rams fans are going to be pretty mad at me. Man, it's fluctuating, but because of the level of talent, they have a superstar and who I think is a top 5 player in the league and the best defender in the league, Aaron Donald. I know they have a decent defense. It's not great, but it's decent. And they have a solid offense. They have Cooper Kupp, who is a 1,000-yard receiver. They have Woods. I can't remember his first name, but Woods, who is a 1,000-yard receiver. I think that they could be good. Robert Woods, that's his name. Robert Woods, I believe that's his name. I can't remember, but his last name is Woods, 1,000-yard receiver. And we know Jared Goff can absolutely light it up in the passing stats. I believe he was one of the league leaders in passing this year. I'm not sure. It was either this year, last year, or the year before. They did go to a Super Bowl a year ago, so it is that mindset. I believe that this team they have potential, but they're not a guaranteed playoff spot. I believe they still have some work to do, and it's going to depend on how things play out. The Patriots, well, it really depends. Is it the head coach being good, or is it Tom Brady being good, or is it both of them being good? We won't know until the season starts. Cam Newton, at least what Coach Bill Belichick said, he said Cam Newton's going to have to earn the job. Cam Newton's coming in with a great mindset. He is worked out. He's obviously looking better than he did maybe a year ago when he was injured, always injured, banged up, and when he got out of the league eventually. Cam Newton's looking good. They have N'Keal Harry, who is one of the better young receivers in the league. I believe that this Patriots team, again, C tier, all going to depend on how things play out. This team can get 11 wins. This team could get 6 wins. We don't know. It's all going to depend on how things play out. They also have Stephon Gilmore, who was the best corner in the league last year and who was an absolute lockdown. I love Stephon Gilmore's play. I love what he does for that defense. He basically shuts down half of the field. That's going to help the Patriots defense tremendously, especially combined with McCourty, who is one of the better safeties in the league. Patriots defense is pretty good. Their offense is what you have to be worried about. And I don't know how Cam Newton's going to fare in the locker room, but I hope that he's a great leader. I hope that he can lead that team to double-digit wins. And I really think the Patriots could do it. But again, things are iffy in the Patriots locker room right now. Cam Newton, new quarterback. Sonny Michel had a down year last year. Patriots are iffy. 11 wins, or they could get 6 wins. Really, it depends on how things play out. The Jets, they lost Jamal Adams. Le'Veon Bell had a pretty down season last year. Let's see. Sam Darnold was injured. I don't see the Jets being a great team. I'm just not even going to sugarcoat it. I think Sam Darnold needs to leave and go somewhere else. Maybe like Atlanta with an aging Matt Ryan. I know no bias at all. Okay, it's a little bit of bias. But anyway, yeah, to Atlanta with an aging Matt Ryan. They lost their number one receiver in Robbie Anderson to Carolina. The Jets, at best, they can hope for 6 wins. 6 wins at best. Mediocre team. They lost Jamal Adams, and without Jamal Adams as the cornerstone / Swiss Army knife of their defense, I don't believe in them. I don't think they're going to be a great team this year, and that's just how I feel about it. Pittsburgh Steelers, another great defense. Big Ben is coming. Will Big Ben be healthy this year? Is Big Ben going to be able to participate in the NFL at as high as a level as he was 2, 3, 4 years ago? Absolutely not. Can he still produce and still be a good quarterback and still be a game manager and still be solid? Yes, he can. And that's all he needs to do, in my opinion, with a number one caliber receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster, with who I believe is probably going to be a top 5, 10 defense, featured by players like Micah Fitzpatrick. I think that's going to be a pretty solid team. The Steelers also have what's his name again? Oh man, I forgot the running back's name, but I know his name is James something James. I think he's going to be pretty good this year. He's an all around type running back. He can go, he can receive the ball. James Conner, that's his name, James Conner. He can go out and receive the ball. He can also run the ball at a pretty high level. He also got, he had cancer before, but he's past that now. He was injured and banged up last season, but he can definitely come back and have a pretty decent, if not great, season this year for the Steelers. Steelers, another what-if team. Defense is great. I love their defense. Their offense, it's a what-if. I don't know about their offense. I really don't. They're a what-if type team. They're Big Ben could come out and be great again. He could come out and be awful. He could come out and be super rusty. Juju Smith-Schuster had a really down season last year, so that's definitely going to take him a notch down in terms of his confidence in general. I believe the Steelers can be a great team, but again, lots of what-ifs in this organization at this point, and it's all going to depend on how things play out. Seahawks. They just got Jamal Adams a couple weeks ago. They have the best linebacker in the league and Bobby Wagner, and a top 3 player in the league, in my opinion, Russell Wilson. 12 wins. Always going to be a solid team. As long as Russell Wilson is a part of that organization, as long as Pete Carroll is a part of that organization, I believe that organization is always going to be solid. 10 to 12 wins for the Seahawks. Playoff berth, I don't even think that's a question. Tampa Bay. Oh, man, too much talent to be denied. It's just so much talent on that team. They have 2 of the top wide receivers in the league, top 10 wide receivers in the league, in my opinion, and oh man, what's his name again? Chris I forgot his name. His name is Chris Godwin, who is one of the better wide receivers in the league. They have Mike Evans, who I believe is a top 7 receiver in the league. They have Tom Brady, who I believe is getting older, and his age is really starting to show, but I still think he can be a great quarterback like he was in New England last year when they won 10 games. Did they win 10 games? 10, 12 games. I don't know. But New England was a pretty good team last year, especially considering their defense. They did get cheated out of a win. But I believe that they can be really good. I think that they have so much talent. They really can't be denied on both sides of the ball. So I believe that they're going to get 10 wins. Actually, no, I'm not going to put them up there. I'm going to put them right down here. I believe that they can get 10 to 12 wins. Just too much talent to be denied. They have so much talent on that team. It's crazy. Their running back situation is the only concern I have on offense. I don't know how their running backs are going to fare out. But I believe that they're going to be a very good team. They just have so much talent to be denied, so much stuff that you have to worry about. And when O.J. Howard is your backup tight end, you're obviously doing something right. Rob Gronkowski's back. I don't know how he's going to fare. Again, there are lots of what-ifs in this organization, but they have more overall talent than all these organizations right here. Tennessee Titans just signed their quarterback, their guy, Ryan Tannehill, to a big contract. They signed Derrick Henry to a big contract. They're both going to be there for a pretty long time, obviously. They have one of the better defenses in the league. Tennessee Titans, 9-10 wins. I believe they're going to the playoffs. Washington, well, they're no longer called the Redskins. They're called the Washington football team. Washington, I don't know. I don't know. I can't even sugarcoat it for you. Their organization is gone through a lot. They got Chase Young, but I don't think he's going to have the biggest impact. I think he's going to have a good impact now, but he won't get 12, 13, 14 sacks. I believe he'll get solid 8 to 10 sacks. Great rookie season, in my opinion. They're an F tier. They don't have their quarterback did terrible last year. His lack of mobility is definitely a weakness, and it showed in the NFL this season. I believe that Washington they're just going through a lot of turmoil in their organization, especially with the things that have been going on with Darius Geis. I see them competing for the number 1 pick as well. But anyway, that's all it for the episode for today. I'm going to record another episode tomorrow with featuring Chris, Maurice, and Tayshawn. We're going to be talking about predicting the playoffs. We're all going to predict the playoffs, and we're going to talk about our favorite guy coming into the draft following the draft lottery, which was yesterday. So stay tuned for that. This is Micah Cannon. This is on the Mike Live, and that is it. That is your episode for today.